My name is Sharita Wright, and I'm here with Ms. Boyd Miller, our media specialist here at Crofton Woods Elementary School. And we are going to do a quick interview about digital citizenship. All right. My first question is, what methods do you use to establish norms for creating a positive online community that promotes responsible and respectful digital behavior within the classroom?
I honestly start with what's in our handbook. Anne Arundel County Public Schools has a very firm statement about student rights and responsibilities for the use of technology. And I make it really clear to our students that this technology is provided by the school for educational purposes, because sometimes when a child gets a piece of technology in their hand, they just want to go and explore, and they have to understand that these aren't home devices. It's not their parents' device. This was a device that was bought by the school for educational purposes. And I make it very clear that if they stray from those purposes, that, there are consequences. Perhaps, re-education is one avenue, but sometimes I do say that, they'll lose their ability to interact with technology for that time period if they don't, if I find them on, playing a game or,
Yes.
Wandering off task, because it's just like if they were at their desk
Right.
and were misusing it.
Right.
So we also try and parallel those classroom rules about respect and understanding the limitations of technology and understanding the limitations of communication. I think you've heard me talk about that with some of my fifth grade classes. I do a whole unit on digital citizenship, and one of the big messages is that online communication has limitations that face-to-face communication doesn't. You're missing out on physical cues, the tone of your voice, and there's that level of anonymity. We like to make sure that our students, as they get older, I start off in second grade talking about passwords and the importance of what a good password is, and we kind of grow that curriculum all through their years here at Crofton Woods.
Okay, thank you. Now, what safeguards would you recommend for classroom teachers like myself to have in place to ensure safe use of digital resources within the guidelines of COPA, which is the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act?
Well, I'm here at Anne Arundel County Public Schools. Our Office of Information Technology wants to make sure that all websites, apps, and programs have been just like our textbooks. They want to make sure they're vetted to make sure that they meet COPA standards, along with some other federal standards that these applications need to meet for our students. So make sure that you pick one that's from the OIT list. If you have one that's not on the OIT list, there is a way to go on the intranet and request approval. It basically involves having a couple of people look at it just to make sure that it does meet the standards. And there are, and if you have a question about it, OIT is there to support you. Because there's, that's kind of a level of expertise that's, generally above, I know it's certainly above my level, and I kind of majored in it, so you wouldn't expect every classroom teacher to understand what all of those requirements for COPA are.
Right.
Make sure that another thing that classroom teachers can do is make sure that not only do you pick from the approved list, but that you create a hot link or create a web link. We notice that sometimes when children type in a website, they'll mistype it, and that can really take them somewhere they don't want to be. We do have some filters on our classroom computers that student logins have certain layers of security that staff logins don't.
Right.
So that is one layer of protection, but sometimes it's not foolproof. Sometimes if you do type in an incorrect, I've come up with there's a couple of ones that if you just change one letter, you're at
Something totally
totally different, and you don't want to be there, and
No.
the kids are, and then it also becomes a classroom management issue. So a lot of this I find with technology is related to classroom management. You also make sure that you don't use any websites if you're looking through websites at home. Any website that asks the student to register individually, I think that's a big red flag. And 15 years ago, when we had a lot of limitations, that's what you had to do. But with the amount of resources we have here at AACPS, children don't need to register for anything.
Yes.
We've got all different, from Wixie, all the online databases. We can, with their student login, we can get them to all kinds of resources that can do what our teachers want to do in the classroom without having to recreate the wheel and putting our children's identities out there. So, and the last thing is be careful about pictures that you post online, because
that's a huge thing, right?
it's a huge thing because children are fascinated by visual images, and so they are all about putting it out there and sharing. And I think this has even been, for some of our parents, it's been an issue. They don't understand that sharing a picture of their child at a school event, you're actually sharing, other people's children too. So, be careful about the use of video images and how those can be shared outside the school walls.
Thank you. And this last question is actually a fairly new topic. Do you explore the idea of gender stereotypes in digital media and that students both create and use?
I was a math teacher first, so it comes with, being a woman in the math field. Gender stereotypes have always been a part of my educational journey, so I feel like I have a heightened awareness now that I'm in media. And it comes up, we do some coding classes, we do a unit of coding, and I always try to make sure that everything I talk about is gender neutral. Even code.org has had some wonderful free coding programs, and I get a little nervous when one is like Minecraft and the other is like Disney Barbie.
Yes.
And it's like, so I try and get everybody on the Minecraft because Minecraft's for girls and boys.
Right.
And even classroom teachers are used to doing this. When you give a selection of topics to pick from, make sure that they're a variety of topics. So the biggest thing I notice is sometimes make sure that when we do our coding units that we don't, I like I said, it's already an issue for me. So I've been pretty lucky that make sure that I don't and even with your seating, when you have maybe if you have be careful how you seat the kids when you do some of these units, because if you get a group of boys together that's really into it, or maybe you get a group of students who aren't really into it, regardless of their gender, that sometimes that negativity can kind of spread. I can't do this, so I kind of keep an eye on how I'm seating them, how I'm presenting the topics, and even the topics that we explore together, to make sure that, and same thing goes with, I have an arts integration units to make sure that, being creative isn't just, a female thing, right? Or, that we're not just, doing, that I have an array of colors to pick from. Right. Kind of really little things like that you don't even think about.
Yeah,
but
that we take for granted.
Absolutely, and that technology is not just a male-dominated field. And I love seeing some of these girls pick up with it and carry it to new places too.
Okay.
So,
well,
did I answer all your questions?
You did, and I thank you for your time. You did a great job.
Oh, thanks.
And that concludes our interview. So thank you, Ms. Boyd Miller.
Thank you.
All right.